everyone, Ellyn here. So I wanted to just hop on today to let you guys know that I'm just trying to articulate the words here. I hear it in my head and it's bam, bam, bam. So basically, as I've said that in the past couple of days, um, we're on a journey. And while we're on this journey, many of us, or many coaches, and me as well, when I started off in the coaching realm, I thought, oh my God, I want to help people to not go through all this and to just stop them from, the torturous of going through this headache that they don't really need to go through, and spend all the money that they don't really need to spend, because I've got the answer. I know what they have to do. And it hit me today that that is not what coaches are meant to do. And that is not what I want to do to help people, because it is part of the journey to go through all of the things that we go through. Some of us, are not really listening to the higher self voice that potentially is trying to steer us into the right direction, which is where free will comes in and our ego takes over and the human takes over. So we start to make other decisions because we're not sure of what voices we're hearing, or we just don't listen to it because we're just so programmed and have been so used to listening to our ego. We've been so used to listening to that voice that's so loud in our heads that is telling us to go A when actually it's telling us to go B when the first voice tells us to go A. And why that happens is because it's like the voice, like the dialogue, and I mentioned this in another recording. It's the dialogue that we have in our heads. The voice of our higher self is low, and we're not used to feeling things in our body. We're used to the mental chatter. We're used to the constant thinking. We're used to the logic. And right now, as we go through this journey, as we go through, the awakening process and the release and the understanding that there are certain voices in our heads, and trying to decipher what they are and trying to listen to them, there comes a piece that is very important in this process that we must do. And that is something that I'm going through right now. And this is why I'm doing recordings, because I've been hearing the call to constantly go on lives and to constantly do these recordings and to constantly let the message out. And I have not been listening for a very long time until recently, when I've been training my body to listen to the very first voice, even when my ego starts to talk and say, well, that doesn't make sense, and oh, I don't want to do that, and blah, 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 blah. I go back and I say, wait, I've done this before. I've listened to my ego before, and it's kept me stuck. So I just go with the first voice that I heard. But the thing is, before I did that, and while I'm doing that, I go into this mode of surrender, of letting go, of just not allowing the ego to control me anymore. And as a matter of fact, control is another major life lesson. So if you heard my recordings from before, there are 7 major life lessons, and I spoke about one of them being judgment in the other recording that I did a couple days ago. This one that I'm talking about today is control. And they come into, you start working on these different lessons in different stages of your ascension process. And I've been noticing that myself. And the most amazing part about this is, and a lot of people are not understanding, that control and letting go and surrendering is like the biggest and the hardest lesson that we go through. And no coach, nobody can stop you from going through this. Nobody can stop you from your journey that you have to go through in order for you to realize that this is ultimately the thing you need to learn and master. Because essentially what you're doing when you're letting go, you're learning, you're human, your ego is learning that it is not in control anymore. That your higher self, the light being that is here in a vessel in the human body that is taking over, is going to be the one who's steering you. And mind you, this is a process that you learn essentially when you're just when you can't do it anymore, right? I've been feeling like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. This is so hard. I just want to go home. And my husband asked me the other day, where's home? Home is just not here. It's Earth is not my home. So what I want to share with you guys today is that control, letting go of control, is part of the process. And you only get there when you're so beaten down to the point where you just can't do it anymore. And really what it is, it's your ego saying that, I've tried everything, I've gone through all this, and nothing has been working. You know why nothing has been working? Because your ego is supposed to not be in control. So when you finally get to that point, and you're just like, you know what? Fine, universe. Just give it to me. Like, I surrender. I'm done. I'm letting go. Higher self, you got this. Go ahead. And you wake up every morning with the intention that you are letting go and you're surrendering and you're allowing your higher self, your light being, to really just step in and to take over, then your day will start to flow. Then your life will start to change. You'll start to see a difference in how things are working out for you because you've allowed yourself to different possibilities without letting your brain get in the way of how it thinks it's going to work out. Because the brain creates a limit. The ego has created a limit. It created a wall, a ceiling if you want. And it says, you know what? These are my experiences. This is what I've gone through. This is what I've done before. I totally, I know that if this happens again, this is going to be the outcome. That's what it's created in your body. That's the thought process that it's created in your body. So it creates fear, it creates judgment, it creates worry and anxiety. It creates all these types of different beliefs that it just keeps us in the same cycle over and over and over again. And I'm sure you have heard this from other people. I'm sure that many, many people are talking about how the ego has taken over and limiting beliefs, but this is what it is. This limiting beliefs, the ceiling, the cutoff is what it's created. And when you allow the light being, your higher self, to really just come in full force, to allow it to take over, it changes the game because it knows there are like so many different possibilities. There are so many different things that can happen as an outcome. And there is no wall. There is nothing protecting it because it doesn't need protection. It already knows what is best for the journey and what is next on our journey. But guys, this is all part of the process. We won't know the good until we've dealt with the bad. And I asked myself the other day about that, and that's the answer that I got. I don't remember the exact question, but I remember the answer was, well, you won't know the opposite side of the spectrum unless you've actually experienced the opposite side of the spectrum. You won't know the good until you've dealt with the bad. How are you going to recognize abundance? Yes, a lot of people, they come in and they inherit all this money and all this stuff, and, they feel like they're happy or whatever, but they don't know the opposite side until they experience it. And you know what? Part of their journey, they eventually lose everything so that they can go on this journey to feel the pain and the agony as that's part of their life lesson, to re-identify themselves, to find themselves, and then get the abundance back, but in a different way. It's all part of the journey. And those of us who didn't have abundance or didn't get, born into a family that is wealthy or whatever, we go through the experience where we're experiencing lack. We're experiencing, this financial pain and health issues and worry and constant anxiety and this kind of like constant need to hustle for things. And then we also experience loss because we go down the path where we are just like nothing is working out. So we lose more and more and more. And then we lose ourselves because we've already experienced so much lack. We've already experienced all this negativity. We've already experienced like this misalignment in our life. And then as we go through that journey, whether it's from lack to abundance or from abundance to lack, we get back to, or hopefully, if you're really continuing to do this ascension process, if you're really continuing trying your best to, move through this, you eventually go back to having full spiritual wealth, to being free, to vibrating at a higher frequency, because all of these experiences, all of it, essentially gets us to the point of surrendering, letting go of the control, letting go of what our brain has recognized as successful, and allowing our true nature to take over, and then fulfilling the rest of our life purpose. So this is obviously a process, like I mentioned, and it's a process that I am going through myself. And I'm sharing this with you as I'm going through it because I feel like it's so important for everyone to understand that you are not going to run from this experience. You are not going to hide. There is no escape because this is what you signed up for. This is what you decided to go through before you came here. I don't know how many of you who are listening believe in incarnation or how many of you believe in, the spirit world, but I believe it. And it's something that I knew prior to even looking into it. It's like a knowing that I had. I've always believed and seen, or not seen, but felt the energy of angels around me. I felt the presence of guidance around me. And I used to talk to them even though I never heard back from them. I used to tell them what I wanted. And I used to talk to them about what's going on. And, for me, it was very comforting because I always knew that was there. And now, during this journey, it's just getting back to identifying yourself as a light being. Whether you're a starseed, a light worker, whatever you want to call yourself, you're essentially a light being. We're all light beings in a physical body. And what happens is, and this is why I actually created the time bender, and it's really interesting because what happens is, as we allow the light being, our higher self, to really get anchored into our bodies, we allow that to manifest into more flow, more abundance, because what happens is you're allowing the light to get into your body and you're releasing the shadow and the debris and the density and the toxins that we've placed in this body to really allow the higher self to inhibit this vessel and make this human body continue on this journey of ascension, because that's what it was made for. We were made, or these human bodies were made essentially to carry all the light so that it can ascend with us. Because our consciousness is our consciousness. We already have all of that. We've already got all the wisdom. We've already got all the answers. We've already got all the information, all in this light being. And as the light being can get more and more grounded and anchored into the physical body, our physical bodies start to change, right? Because it can handle more light and it starts to be able to carry more abilities and to unlock and to activate the DNA that's dormant in our system that has more of the abilities that we haven't unlocked yet. And that's like a little bit more out there that I can't really talk about. So I just wanted to share how important it is for us to be able to go through this process. And I know it's very hard in the beginning, especially when you're on this path to totally letting go and releasing, crying, writing, whichever way is going to let you just release and let go of the control, allow the process to unfold, and to just give yourself the love and self-care that you need. Because honestly, if during this process you are holding it in and you're not giving yourself the love that you need, you are really not allowing yourself to fully receive what you were meant to receive when you came here, when you decided to come here. And I know I kind of got off tangent when I was talking about the spirit world, so I'll just go into that for a second. Really what it is, when we're light beings in the spirit world, we choose with our guides what we want to experience on this earth, right? Wherever we go. We can go to different planets. We can go to different universes. It doesn't matter. The point is, we choose when we want to come back to earth what we're going to experience when we're here, what happens, and what lessons we're going to learn. There are certain events that are already, you can say, pre-planned. Not all, but certain major events are pre-planned. And also, the lessons that we learn, they're lessons, and there are different events in our life that will occur that will make this lesson, that will make us learn this lesson, or many of us don't even learn the lesson. So that's why it's important for us to understand that we don't pre-plan every single thing in our life, right, before we come here, because that's why we have free will. We have free will that allows us to make different decisions and different choices that will take us to learn the different lessons we have to learn and essentially get us back to where we're supposed to be. So yeah, I hope that I was able to give you some insight on what is going on, and I gave you guys the most important tools, 2 important life lessons for us to learn. And I really hope that if there's any other information that you would require, you can write in the messages, and I will try to make videos about them. So I hope you guys have a great day, and thanks for listening. Bye.